Awesome. Cool. So we just started recording, and yeah, we can start it off. So welcome everyone to the Gnosis Chain Ecosystem Wednesday call. I'm excited to introduce our guest Stefan, who will be sharing his insights on Stereum. Stefan, welcome to the show. Let's start by getting to know you a bit better. And super basic question: how did you get involved into this world of cryptocurrencies?
Hey there. Yes, thank you very much for the invitation and having me today. Well, how did I get into crypto? That's an interesting question because to be honest, I don't really remember when this happened. It's like some time ago. The first thing I did with crypto though was um, trying to build an arbitrage bot, which worked very nice. But at the time, the um, the metrics weren't really nice, so it was a bear market or something. And I remember we abandoned it pretty fast because it didn't pull off enough profit to keep it going. Yeah, I think that's the first thing I did with crypto, like as a developer. Um, when I get first in touch with crypto, it's really hard to say. To be honest, I don't remember.
Interesting, interesting. So you kind of started out, you're like, this is kind of cool. I want to try it out. So, what inspired you to kind of delve into contributing, kind of further, like how you guys are contributing right now to the space? Was there kind of a turning point where you're like, I think I'm going to build this or I'm going to do this?
Yeah, I mean, as again, I don't remember a real turning point. I always like to build stuff. I'm a software developer by profession, so I always like to invent something and build something. And yeah, it was the same with the arbitrage bot or Stereum now. It was just that I thought of something, I tried it out, and it worked. With Stereum, it worked obviously better because now it's a kind of big project with people full time employed on it to maintain it and fix bugs and make new features in it and so on.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's dive into Stereo actually. Is this how you started into Stereum? You just saw a space and you're like, hey, I think we can improve this and we're going to build some software on it? Or was there an idea from before that kind of made you start this out?
Yes, this was actually what's happened. What you described first, like I saw that there isn't much that Stereum does now, especially with the Ethereum staking mechanism. When I started off, this was more than 3 years ago. So before the merge, it was the same year as merge. It was beginning of 2020. I tried to look up how I can stake my tokens, so how I can prepare for staking Ether, and I didn't know any solution. There weren't even scripts. You had like Prism over already that built some stuff that was very exciting. So I tried to build a lot of stuff with Prism, and then I was thinking, maybe they are right. I should build more with different clients because if Prism has a bug, then of course you want to do something else also. So this is how it evolved and how the idea came up, or not the idea came up, but the product came up to actually diversify and decentralize Ethereum and of course also Gnosis.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember when I first started kind of messing around with crypto. We're starting to set up validators, and it was off some guy's Medium blog post, and I was just copying pasting the scripts, and it was only Prism at the time, so it was interesting, especially when you don't know Linux and you have no idea what's going on. You just copy paste, and then if something breaks, you just have to like format the whole thing because you have no idea how to even go back. So yeah, there's definitely big pain points into into the start of running a node. And speaking of, I want to get your perspective of, running a node is part of a big ecosystem in crypto. And in your opinion, why should someone run a node? And how does Stereum facilitate that process?
Well, why would you run a node? That's an interesting question. I don't really have an exact answer to, because there are so many use cases to actually run it. So if you're Ether and or Gnosis, then you want actually the network to be healthy, and a healthy network means that there are a lot of nodes. So even if you're just having some tokens, you already have an incentive to run a node and verify that everything is running correctly, and of course, contributing to decentralizing the network. And why there are other use cases, of course, like staking, as you mentioned. But we also have in the Stereum Discord, at least, we have people who look into connecting bots with the nodes and run arbitrage bots, or just build their data mining infrastructure and try to get some data out of the blockchain. So it's really interesting what people like to build on a node, because a node itself, I mean, everybody would be incentivized to set one up, as I explained earlier, but most people try to set it up to actually gain access to the data. And I also had an interesting conversation a couple of weeks ago, and it was in Austria about with another company, and they had really issues organizing an Ethereum node, and they didn't want to run it themselves because it was too complicated for them, at least in their mind. So what is Stereum about is giving people the possibility to gain access to Gnosis and Ethereum chain to actually get their work done. And this guy I mentioned, or this company I mentioned earlier, I had a talk with a couple of weeks ago. They were not into arbitrage bots or something, or a financial institution. They actually traded weather data and stuff like that. So it's already amazing to me how many different people and companies can make use of something like Stereum.
That's super cool. I didn't even think that was a possibility to trade weather data, yet alone use a node for it. So you said you have these people approach you. Um, what's the first thing that you say, like, hey, the main advantages of Stereum are this, this, and this. In your opinion, what do you think people would mostly be attracted to use Stereum?
Well, I think the most attractive thing is that it is between the existing solutions. Like we have the app node, right, who is a very straightforward, easy to use setup, which has its limits, of course, as every software has. And then we have stuff like ETH Docker, which is also widely popular in the space to set up a full node, but it's very technical. So in Stereum, at least that's what I imagine, is right in between. So you don't lose the full control of your node, like what you have with a solution like the app node, but you still don't need to deal with all the Linux commands and CLI hazards and so on and so forth. So we want actually to have a very nice, very easy to use software that doesn't restrict the user in doing anything with their clients. That's why we also have a so-called expert mode that allows the user to edit all the parameters that go into into running the services like Geth or Nethermind or whatever, Lighthouse, for example. and you still can make all the adjustments that you have with a solution like ETH Docker.
That's very interesting. So if I had like a node set up right now, but it wasn't with Stereum, am I able to port over my current data into Stereum and then start using Stereum, or do I have to restart all the process all over again?
It depends how technical you are. If you manage to set up the same clients as you already have, and then copy or move the data to the Stereum services, then you're good to go. There was a user who already did this, so it's not really it's not impossible, but I would say it's you need to do it on the Linux command line. It's not something that is currently built into Stereum. Although we already thought of it, it's a niche use case. So usually people start off with a fresh node. We also support checkpoint sync, of course, also for Gnosis and the Ethereum. So it is pretty fast actually to set up the node until you can actually use it.
Very cool. And with Stereum, there's quite a big variety of clients, which kind of helps with the whole decentralization aspect of a network. What clients are you guys supporting? Are you supporting everyone right now? Are you guys slowly integrating new ones? What's the landscape looking like for that?
With Ethereum, we support all the major clients that are Aragon, Lodestar, sorry, not Lodestar, Aragon, Geth, Nevermind, and of course Bezo. And on the consensus client side, we also support Lodestar, Lighthouse, Nimbus, Prism, and which one did I forget? Teku, of course. Sorry for that. Of course, also Teku. With Gnosis, it's a little bit different. There we have a smaller set of clients available, which is just a subset of the possibilities. But we are already looking into to widen it up for Gnosis as well. But the Gnosis integration in Stereum is way younger than Ethereum, so we wanted to make sure everything works with the existing clients before onboarding new ones, to make sure everybody has a smooth experience and we don't run into general issues with anything Gnosis related.
Interesting. So apart from clients, is there any alpha in terms of new features that you can give us that you guys are kind of working on right now, that you can share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we are almost everything from our side is transparent. So if you want to look at the Ethereum node repository of ours, which is basically the Stereum node, you can look up the milestone and look up the full release. And in there, you will find some nice stuff like an alerts and notification component that also sends alerts to your mobile phone. So we already have a Stereo mobile app which works on iOS as well as Android, but it stopped working a little time ago because both of the vendors changed some fundamental stuff with their notification mechanics, and now we need to redo it again, but it will relaunch again, so we are still on track on that. And how it works is pretty simple. Grafana is a monitoring tool that makes it possible to collect metrics of your server, of your clients, and then also Grafana can have alerts, and these alerts get directly on your phone if you like, with this Stereo mobile app. We also have some interesting new stuff coming up to make it easier to onboard, like tutorial integration and also, of course, switching execution and consensus clients easily. Right now, you can also do that, but it's a little bit of a click challenge. Let's say you need to first add the new one and then change the configuration of the other pair. For example, you want to switch the execution client, and you need to switch the first add the new execution client and then change the consensus client manually to the new execution client, stuff like that. We will optimize this, of course, better, and have this stuff presented to the user in a nicer way without all this click hazard. Also coming up next is validator performance stats. We're working on this already a couple of weeks, because it's pretty hard to actually gather the performances without external party services like beacon.in or stuff like that. We want to provide this without these connections, because we think it helps the decentralization of information of the blockchain. If you already have the information on your server, why would you pull it from a third party? And of course, there is some nice stuff coming up for SSV network, some rework of the UI and way more stuff. Generally, lots of quality of life improvements over the next months.
Very cool. And now that you kind of mentioned SSV, I wanted to jump into the showcase, but since you brought it up, and the whole stake at home being a very hot topic in 2023, we have SSVs, we have DVTs, and this whole thing is kind of enabling a diverse staking ecosystem, along with, the products that you guys have created. Do you think these efforts are creating like a geographic diversity within the space? Like, do you think this will increase essentially decentralization in terms of crypto as a whole?
Yes, I definitely think so, because it makes it easier for people who are not like in a first world country and have a stable internet connection to actually run a validator or a node operator by themselves. Right now, it's with a spot internet connection, it's hard to do. If you can rely on something like SSV, you can spread out your operations and still get very good results for your validators that are earning you staking rewards.
Very cool. Yeah, so I want to hop into the showcase. Obviously, we can't run through a whole tutorial on how to run up or spin up a validator. But there is a video online already by Stereum that you guys can all check out. It's like about 5 minutes long, and you can do that by searching on YouTube, and you will see it how to spin up a node using Gnosis. But I'll let Stefan give us a little bit a tour of a showcase that he was already planning for us. So Stefan, if you want to share your screen, and then we can go from there.
Yes, perfect. So I hope you can see now the Stereum launcher that is currently running on my MacBook. As you can see, it's a very easy to understand UI. You enter the server name. This is only used for saving the connection. So let's say here Gnosis test, and we have an IP, of course, which is just copy. Then we have a username and, of course, a password. And then we can already click login, but you can always also use SSH keys. So SSH keys are a little bit more secure, or not only a little bit, vastly more secure than passwords. So if you have the ability to set up SSH keys, please do it. We will also do some work on the UI, so people can actually replace their password with an SSH key later on to enhance security of their node. And we can already click connect, and what it does now, oh no, Let's try another password. Ah, perfect. Now it works. So it was just a typo in the password. And now it checks if the operating system is supported and it's Ubuntu, so everything is fine. And we can already click on the one-click installation. Now you can choose a network, which is basically Ethereum mainnet, Ethereum testnet, which is Gully right now, and of course Gnosis. We choose staking, click on install, and we already have a pre-selected set of clients. One is the execution client, which is only Nethermind right now, and then you can choose your consensus client, which is Lighthouse or Teku. Let's stick with Lighthouse for now. And it also supports, of course, Prometheus to collecting the metrics, Grafana to visualize the metrics that you collected, and Node Exporter, which is a service that collects the metrics of your server, like CPU usage, network usage, and so on. And of course, you can customize your installation path. Then you can also specify where you want to sync from. With execution clients right now, there is no fast sync method, unfortunately. I hope there will be something like checkpoint soon, but let's see. Checkpoint check soon. With Lighthouse, of course, we can also choose a checkpoint sync. Just enter whatever endpoint you would like. And of course, you can sync up from Genesis. This is just a verification. What you selected. It also shows you the installation paths here. So if you're interested in looking what Stereum actually does there and what data is produced by the clients, this is something nice to know. And then we can already sit back and wait until the installation finishes. First of all, let's install some operating system packages, something like Docker and stuff like that is necessary to run the Stereum containers. And of course, also the firewall gets configured. So what Stereum does is it only allows Stereum selected, Stereum managed services to connect from outside. This is, for example, the case with the peer-to-peer network ports that are necessary for a good network health for the client's execution client and consensus client. And of course, SSH. It also supports custom SSH ports, so if you would like to customize your SSH port to 12345, for example, then Stereum will notice this and also create the firewall rules for this. But this is just an example. There is way more going on in the background. Then
So
it
how
also
long?
yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, how long does the sync last for? You said there's no quick checkpoint on the consensus client. Is that correct, or was that the execution client?
The execution client has no quick checkpoint sync right now. The consensus client has a quick checkpoint sync functionality. All of the integrated clients support this right now, so you can be up and running in no time, at least from the consensus client side of things. You always need to wait a little bit for the execution client to sync. This can vary depending on your internet connection and your server that you're using and other things, from like a day to a week, maybe, depending really on your specs that you're using.
Yeah, so users shouldn't like just sit there for a week. They can just kind of let the thing sit there, and it could do the sync by itself. They don't have to monitor anything. They don't have to do any restart to the system or anything like that.
No, they don't need to do anything. Actually, we also have an update feature with auto updates, so you don't need to worry about updating your consensus client, your execution client to be compatible with forks. We actually have some systems also on mainnet running only with auto updates, and we usually never touch them. Of course, this is not there is not much validators right now on them, but it shows, even we do this already, it shows that the software is very capable of updating itself and being compatible with the hard forks that are coming up.
Interesting. And then what happens if, there's an upgrade and then there's a bug and they need to downgrade? Does that kind of happen automatically as well?
This doesn't happen automatically as well. Usually we test the stuff out, what we want to update. So we have something like a development version where we test the update and go through the single steps. We also have optimized tests, of course, for simulating the update to make sure if we make code changes to updates or stuff like that, that everything works still. We can, of course, because the update process itself is very, very simple, we can, of course, roll updates back from our side. I don't think this happened ever yet, but it would be possible to do so.
Very cool. Very cool. So it looks like we've installed all the OS stuff and we're ready to sync. Is that correct?
Yes, we are ready to sync. On the left bottom, of course, we have something like a task manager where you can review the progress of the things that are already done. So we can delete that. And of course, right now we are in the node page. So we see what services are running. We have here the execution client Nethermind and the consensus client Lighthouse as we chose. And of course, some service plugins. And I think the more interesting page is the controls page. This takes a little bit time of loading. We're already looking into this, so don't be worried. This should be fixed soon. And we can see here that there is zero sync right now on the Lighthouse. At least not zero sync, but 0% sync, if you can read this on the bottom here. And it already had like 10,500 blocks synced. We can also see that there are peers already connected to our clients. 44 to Lighthouse, 7 to Nethermind, so everything looks good on this node. We also have a small widget that shows us what storage usage we actually have for the different services, so we can actually see that the Lighthouse validator client only uses 128 kilobytes and stuff like that. Nevermind is already at 702 megabytes. Yeah, this is a very convenient site. I use it myself a lot, so I think it's very useful. What's another thing worth mentioning is you can actually open RPC connections to your server from your local machine. So you can actually connect your local on your desktop running MetaMask to your own full node and use it with Net MetaMask, for example, to interact with smart contracts, to send transactions, and so on and so forth.
Very cool. Very cool. I wanted to ask, is there any maintenance that like is required? I don't think there's any maintenance right now, but as the blockchain fills up and the thing just becomes bigger in general, is there steps that Stereum has taken to accommodate for these things?
Yes, of course. So we offer for Geth, for example, we offer manual pruning. There are already automatic pruning processes in the works, as I understand, for almost all clients. So if they get more mature and actually work properly and it's, as you say, maintenance free and hassle free, we will also look into integrating them, of course, and offer it to the users. And the user, of course, can then select if they want to run with the older version without pruning or switching over to the newer pruning mechanism that makes it more economic to run the node. Because as you said, the database is filling up very nicely and fast, and yeah, it's something you need to keep an eye on. But also, as I mentioned before, with the Stereum mobile app, you can get modified in the future for example, when the storage is running low, the free storage is running low.
Very cool. Now, in terms of the mobile app, um, is it the same interface as I'm looking at right now? Does it like give you notifications like, hey, like your validator is down, go check your internet connection, stuff like that? Or is it a little bit different?
It is a little bit different, so it's not looking like this. It's mainly to get you notified about events, like you said, your validator is down. Please look at low storage, CPU usage, whatever. It's not intended to actually control your node, like this interface shows here. We already think about building an app that actually lets you run a full node of Gnosis and Ethereum via your mobile app, while your mobile phone. But this will take some time. So this is not something, I don't even think this will be doable this year.
I gotcha. Yeah. And does that pose any like additional risks? Like obviously you said there's some risk when using a password versus an SSH key. Are you guys looking at the risk that you would have, when you're on a mobile phone? Is it,
Yes, right.
more risky or how does that work?
That's a good question actually. We don't know. We need to figure this out. So Stereum itself already went through 2 security audits. So the launcher itself is, I would say, pretty secure. The Stereum launcher for the desktop. What we will do with the mobile app, right now you can't control your node, so there is no reason to actually go into depth, like communicating with to secure communication with the node and stuff like that. It is more of a topic when we actually build an app that will control your node. But we really need to think about how we do this. As you said, it's with passwords, it's not as secure. And with SSH keys, everybody knows dealing with files on a mobile phone is not really something people enjoy, or even, yeah, it's even hard to do. It's not even sometimes possible to enjoy.
Yes, that's for sure. That's very cool. Do you have any other cool features that you could show us? Like, how do you set your graffiti, or is there a way that you can enable Mev Boost slash agnostic relay on Stereum? Is this a feature that's already here?
Yes, of course. So first of all, I didn't show off the staking page yet.
Oh yeah,
Um,
sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here.
no worries. So this is the staking page, which will list all your public keys and which service you run them on, and some other small stats. And as you can see, as I spoiled earlier, we are working on these enhanced stats for your validators. You can also set your graffiti, and of course, you can also remove the keys from your server. For example, if you set a new one up and you want to migrate to the new server, you can just drag and drop your keys on the black screen, and you go through the process. It's very easy, but you can look it up on YouTube how it works. Another cool feature is you can actually edit your node and add new stuff, like as you said, you want to have a Mev Boost service. You can add this, of course, here not on, unfortunately, because it's Gnosis, but with Ethereum, if you're on an Ethereum network, you would be possible to add a Mev Boost by just drag and drop and then confirming, and then you have your Mev Boost, and it's already connected to your validator client as well. What I also want to show you real quick is you can actually edit everything. As I mentioned before, there is an expert mode which lets you edit almost everything. Here you have the command actually going on the server. So if you feel comfortable enough to actually edit this and add some new stuff here, feel free to do so. You can also edit the image, of course, you're using. If, for example, if you use an older model of CPU, some clients, some services have special image tags for these CPUs. So you can also edit this this way. Of course, you can open up more ports for this service, and of course manage the volumes of this service, and so on and so forth. So Stereum gives you all the control you can want from running a full node.
That is crazy that you can just drag and drop stuff and just hit apply and have something install. That is awesome. Is there a page that can show the performance? Like you said, you can see the Grafana charts, or is that coming soon?
The Grafana is also working. Yes, you just click on this Grafana and then open in browser, and it pops up on your browser. What it basically does in the background, it opens a separate tunnel connection to your server. It is also over SSH, so everything goes over SSH. Is one of the most secure connections you can build up to any device. And yeah, the data flows through this secure tunnel, and you can access your Grafana, show all the metrics, and so on and so forth.
Super cool, super cool. I think this is like the ultimate tool for people that want to go a little bit past, the plug and play, the full on plug and play, and they want to kind of mess around and learn more about it. This tool is mind blowing. Cool. Do you have any other features that you would like to show off before we start wrapping everything up?
So well, just real quick, I really love the logs that you can show here. So the latest logs are on top. So it's just refreshes in the background and shows you what's going on. And of course, you can very fast switch between the logs and figure out what's going wrong if there is something going wrong. So this is some of the features I use the most because, of course, as being in the team of building Stereum, we always have to debug some issues and stuff like that, and that makes life easier for most of the developers.
So if someone usually has like an issue, you would get them to go into the log screen, copy paste, send it to you guys, and then you guys can kind of troubleshoot from there. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's very easy for us to
Cool.
troubleshoot, and also for people who connect services to their Stereum nodes, it's easier to look at the logs and figure out what might be wrong with the connection to their service or maybe something else. What I also like
That's
to show
awesome.
off is the update panel. Here you can look for updates, and we see here it's already installed the latest on this node.
That's awesome. So if people need help, do they just go into your Discord and just talk in the support chat? How does that work? Or is there a better place that they can reach out?
People can choose how they reach out. We have people messaging me directly on Telegram. We have most people go on Discord and just ask on the help channel or the general channel about advice about some things that went wrong or some other stuff they want to do with their node and don't know how to do it actually. So the best thing is jump on the Discord and just chat us up. That's the way to go. We also have a ticketing system. So if you have some logs with IP addresses inside or something, that's not a problem. You can do this very easily by opening up a ticket, and only the staff can actually view the ticket. And as it's also worth mentioning, we are an Austrian-based company, so we are in Europe. We are obligated to follow the GDPR privacy agreements and so on. So your data, we're not allowed to share any data that you share with us when you want to fix your problem with Stereum, for example.
That's awesome. So no sharing of data with Facebook and Instagram, so they can give you some ads. Hey, that's awesome. All right, cool. And I'm assuming this is an open source, project. Can people contribute directly on the repo, or is there a process for that?
Yes, so people can contribute in the multiple ways. First of all, they can just run the software and give us feedback of it. That's the easiest one, of course. Then people can go on GitHub and actually write code or bug fix code or write tests or whatever they do, or maybe make the UI more pretty or more appealing icons or whatever they want to do. So there is another way to contribute. Yes, the software is all completely open source. It's MIT licensed. Everybody can basically do with the software whatever they like.
Super cool. Awesome. Lastly, I want to ask, where's the best place to find out the latest about Stereum's progress? What would be the best channel? Like, where do you guys post the most frequent and, the most up-to-date information?
We have multiple channels of social media like Reddit and Twitter, of course, which are kept always up to date. You can follow also our website, which will get a rehaul in the next, hopefully, couple of weeks. We're already finishing up everything and polishing everything, so it's nice to look at. So if you don't want to follow us on social media, or you don't want, because you don't use, for example, Twitter or Reddit, then it's the easiest just to go on our website regularly and check out the updates there.
Super cool. Super cool. All right. I'm going to open up the floor for some questions from the audience if we have any. I'm just going to check the chat here as well to see if there are any people wanting to ask our friend Stefan here some questions, directly asking the devs. I do see some folks did join. If you guys have questions, please unmute or just type in the general chat or in the voice channel chat here, and I can just read them out loud to Stefan to answer. And if we don't have any, we can always just wrap it right up. I'll just wait a couple minutes here. I think we got a quiet crew today. I don't see any questions or concerns in the chat, which is always a good thing because we probably answered everyone's questions. So with that in mind, I want to thank you, Stefan, for joining us today. It was awesome sharing your insights about Stereum and where everything is going in the space, and really excited. There's tools available like this for people that are trying to contribute to the space, even if it's just running a node and trying to be part of the whole ecosystem as a whole. And I want to wish you the best of luck for you and the whole Stereum team and your guys' future endeavors.
Thank you very much. That was very kind words of you.
Thank you.